My earliest memories I can remember in the closet of my room, there was always guitars, and my dad always played guitar, and I did wonder how they made them, but I just never thought about making them. I thought that was just like that thing that was left up to the gods to do. I did a computer-aided design and manufacturing course at the local community college, and I doodled my first shape, and I started making guitar parts for projects to do in class, and then one day I decided, you know, I might as well just go ahead and finish it, so I built my first guitar. So I decided, well, let's try bass. I dove into the shape I drew, and I made a 5-string bass. I built another bass, and my friends bought them off me. Well, hey, cool, I can make a living at this. Basically what happened is, the first one that sold paid for the next one to be built. Next one that sold paid for the next one to be built. Then I started figuring out that if I just kept working, and every time I sold one, build two, I'd be able to either keep one or have another one to sell or have one to show somebody, because I was starting to get the hang of it. And I just kept building though, nothing would stop me. I had jobs paying the bills, and the thought of running a guitar business, it was more or less just, it was a hobby that the projects did sell, I just didn't make a lot of money at it. And then I started getting better. I decided, you know, I'm a few years into this. I'm gonna go ahead and do my first NAMM show. I went to one NAMM show, I saw how it was. We went down and we checked it out, came back, I started building. I built a dozen instruments. Dove in head first and built this elaborate booth, lighting, track lighting. I mean, I even so much as wore a suit. I did not sell a single instrument at that NAMM show. I came home, and I said, oh well, it was worth a try. Threw them up on eBay. And then that's when the low end found me, and I'm like, cool, a customer, you know, a real customer, somebody who's taking it as serious as I thought I was taking it at the time. And then we worked hand in hand on refining the product. Each step in the process of building a guitar is almost another man's specialty. I didn't just have to learn to build guitars, I had to learn how to work with wood. I had to learn to work on the machinery when the machinery broke down. I had to learn how to paint. I had to learn how to paint different mediums. I had to learn electronics. I had to learn math, a lot of math. Sales, I had to learn marketing, how to even be able to do anything on a computer. I mean, there's just so many different fields that are all into this one industry. Knuckles are sore after a trip to the wood store. A lot of tapping and thunking on it. Certain boards, you'll hear it. You clunk and you're like, that's my guy. Weight is important to me. Can't be too heavy. Sometimes people request heavy though, so I don't turn it down necessarily. I mean, if it has the right tone and it's weighty, for a lighter instrument, I know I can chamber it out and I know it's gonna resonate, it's gonna sound good. So when you see me laying out patterns on a board, I get every last bit out of it. I do a lot of basses. Do a lot of boutique-y basses, man. It's a lot of top book matching and selecting and finding the best patterns and capturing the most figure that you can that's gonna show on the instrument. And then there's the wood selections, you know, and just the body selections. I have the rough cut materials acclimating on the shelf, and then we glue the body, we glue the top, and we leave them separate. A week before the necks are getting their final sand and they're about ready to have a final dimension to them, then I'll go ahead and get the bodies glued up, and then we get them all squared, trued up, and then they go to the CNC machine. I build 4 strings all the way up to 12 strings. It's all the same process, just more strings and more foresight in each process to make sure that something you didn't account for could go wrong for you. Wood selection for the neck, that's everything. So I know that when I'm really putting the true love into the neck, I'm getting what I want out of it. I graphite reinforce them. That helps stabilize them in climate change. I do my fret slotting by templates on the table saw. I don't use the CNC for that. Basically, when the neck is final dimensioned, I'll take the body and then I run it at that time. And I'll run a pocket based off the measurements that I've measured on the neck, and I measure in 4 or 5 different places on the neck, and I create those lines in my CAD software and then transfer it over. So each individual neck pocket and each individual neck they're paired up at that time, and I program it every time. We get a good solid fit. It just means the tone's gonna transfer great, everything's gonna work right. I profile the back of the neck into a rough shape, yet I do a hand dimension on it. In some cases, I do my fingerboard radius by hand on an edge sander. On a 9-string, I definitely have the CNC do the radius on the fingerboard. I have to just sit there with blocks of wood and sandpaper and templates that I've created to create the radius for the fingerboard. I hammer my frets in still, I don't press. Each fret is individually glued in and set and then cleaned up right there on the spot. I don't have any machines that level my frets. I sent that 9-string to my Japanese distributor, and he put it on his Plek machine and he told me it was perfect. I, at that time, realized that all the tedious, laborious fretwork was worth it at that point. Most of my instruments are set neck. They require lots of hand fitting. I have to do a lot of filing, grinding, shaping. Finish isn't what covers things up. A good finish job is a result of a good prep job. Finishing, it's just the most tedious of all processes. Finishing and fretting. When you get in the fret work, it's detailed. When you get in the finish work, it's even more detailed because that's what everybody's going to judge that instrument on. And we get into the best lighting that we can, but we want the right amount of shadow. Every line has to flow. And my body radiuses are one big 7/8 round over edge, and I've made so many different sanding block contraptions to try to shape that as fast as possible and easy as possible, and nothing does it quite like just the hard way. Doing it by hand, and sanding is very, very tedious in my book. That's what I spend the most time on, but the product reflects it. Every year I learn something new, and I find a way to refine and make the product look the best that it possibly can. I'm the one who sees more than anybody else on these instruments. I do a high-gloss polyurethane finish, I do high-gloss lacquer finishes. They're 2 different animals. Once again, the prep. Each step in finishing determines how your next step is going to turn out. I happen to be very good friends with the head of electronics at the college that I went to. He designed my preamp for me. I know the audio electronics enough to know how to shape the sound of my instrument through the use of my different resistors and capacitors. I got into the EQ section of it and really starting to learn what values work with what frequencies, and it allows us to do a lot more with instruments. It's an enhancement. The modern electronics that we have nowadays, I mean, you can shape it how you want. I can hand the same instrument to 5 different people, and I have 5 different instruments. These are tools. That's all I'm doing. I'm building tools for musicians to talk through, to express their feelings or whatever's in their head. That's how they get it out, is through their instrument. I'm trying to provide the tool to them to allow them to speak with the biggest vocabulary they can. We have a proprietary pickup that is wound for us by Ken Armstrong. We've been using those for years now. I have a systematic setup, a checklist. I know what I do first. Once I like it and I'm happy with where it is, I put it on the rack, I let it sit a few days, and I come back to it and I do it again. I'll go back and I'll double check that, and I'll see how that instrument's hanging out, you know, and what's it doing? Is it changing? Is there anything going on? I mean, I pay attention to these things all the way up until they leave, and until I can't look at them anymore. You know, I'm creating. I'm really an artist, and these are my medium. That's all it is I'm striving to make that perfect instrument, and this isn't just something you sit and look at. It has to work too. I like the challenge of being able to join pretty and function at the same time to create what I vision to be fantastic instruments. Quality, customer service, treat people right, man. You take care of them and you give them the absolute best, and they'll see it and they'll tell their friends, and they will want the best as well. This is somebody's dream. This is somebody's instrument. The artist has a really deep relationship with his instrument, and it's so much deeper than any other product that I can think of that people buy. It's such a personal thing that, you know, this person is trusting you to build that dream that they have in their head, that vision. I know when I order something from somebody, I expect the best, and I expect them to have, you know, the blood, sweat, and the tears on it. That's why I want that. When somebody commissions me, I give them my all. I give them everything that I can. My all goes into each and every instrument.